have you heard about the Kaizen, which is Japanese business philosophy of continuous improvement of working practices, personal efficiency? Hello friends, I'm Burak and I'm searching for developer stories all over the world. Today's guest is Vahid. He used to live in a small city where job options were limited. He did his best and started working best companies in their field. First, he found himself in a bigger city and now works abroad as a front-end engineer. Let's listen his story together.
Actually, the first I was in love with painting, not programming.
Really?
And yeah, and one of my dreams was to design animation one day. So when I was 13, I think, we bought a PC, and the first application that I installed was Micromedia Flash.
Flash.
Adobe uh, Flash,
Yeah.
that was Micromedia Flash, and I start to design an animation. And I designed a small clip, 5-minute clip, I think, and also I couldn't show it to anyone because at that time we didn't have internet connection in our city, and also my PC didn't have a CD writer also, and the clip was so big for a floppy disk. And that time I bought a Flash Learning book, and that book I learned ActionScript, the programming language of Flash, Micromedia Flash, and after that, like most of developers, I designed my calculator. And after that, I learned QBasic, Visual Basic, or C, etc. And I realized
So
that I love programming.
you realized that you like coding more than designing, making animation.
It's equal, and because of that, I choose the front-end development.
Yeah, so
Because
to see
you
it
can
as a
also come together.
yeah.
Yeah, as a
And
front-end developer.
you're skilled in Angular, TypeScript, Python, Django, jQuery, lots of things. And
Yeah.
and you also mentioned about the Flash. And what techniques do you use to learn something new effectively? What is your methodology to learn some new topics?
Yeah, in my idea, the best way for learning new techniques or frameworks, etc., is to write a project with it.
Mhm.
Yeah, for example, books or articles or tutorial videos, you learn something, but the edge case or details for
Mhm.
learning them, you should try it. So for
Mhm.
learning something, I think the best way is to try it.
Yeah, for example, if you want to try Python, let's say, and you just think about the project and go to documentation and check how you can solve this problem, go to Stack Overflow, and so you do
Yeah,
it like back and forth.
yeah. I learned Python in this way. I designed
Really?
this shopping website with Python, Python Django, and I learned Django with a small shopping website, for example.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So,
also Angular. Mm.
what obstacles did you face while improving yourself, like learning new framework or like when you built this career and learning some new stuff? What was the obstacles did you face?
Yeah, the obstacles I can say in the all of the companies except the Kolay IK that I'm
Mhm.
working now in there. There was nobody to help me and show the path. For example, when I learned Angular, there was no one to help me and show you should do this in this way. So in this case, usually you go wrong path and after a while, you really realize that oh, I did wrong this solution, for example, and you came back to fix them or leave them for leave them and fix them in the next project.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So this is the only one, or do you have any other obstacles?
Yeah, important one is, I think.
Okay, thank you for your answer. And what do you want to achieve in your career? What are your aspirations? What do you want to do next?
Yeah, actually, I want to change my career.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, now your announcement.
Not I don't want to change the whole career. I want to learn, for example, machine learning. I love it.
Mhm,
And in the next step, I think I want to learn it and maybe change to the, for example, machine learning development.
mhm.
I want to
And
leave from someday.
for this journey, how do you keep yourself motivated in long-term goals? For example, you're learning a framework and you built a front-end engineer career, and now you want to learn machine learning. Like, how do you keep your motivation?
Hmm. Actually, I have some goals for every year and or 2 or 5 years in my month.
Mhm,
I say to myself in the first day of year, this year I should learn these. And for example, I have some plans, like some goals for 5 years later. I should be there. I should do these. For example,
mhm,
learning machine learning is my 2 or 3 years later goals
mhm.
that I
So there's
want.
still time.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Mhm,
You should everyone and in every careers in your life you should have some goals for 10 or 12 years later also.
mhm. So we never know tomorrow what's going to happen.
Yeah, of course, but you should have the goals. You
Yeah,
can't say
yeah, for sure.
reverse that. I don't have goal. You have, you should have, but maybe your next year goals will be achieved in, for example, 5 years later.
Yeah, and you come from a small region in Iran, and
Yeah.
I remember your story when we visited Kolay, and you said you moved to big city. It was a big change for you to find out the difference between small region and the big city, and now you're in the another country. You're working. Can you describe the different steps to go to big city and another country? What are the pros and cons?
Yeah, the most important problem that you have when you leave a small city to a big city is self-confidence in media. When you go to, for example, another country or big city, you don't have self-confidence enough. Uh, and for example, for myself, I choose the wrong job at the first. I was a developer, a full stack developer. I had more than 20 website example for demoing myself, but I chose the job for just HTML CSS developer. Yeah, because I didn't have enough self confidence to choose a good job, or for example, full
Mhm,
stack developer job. And the in the outside job in my idea in the city, you have so many problems, the cultural problems or the financial
mhm,
problems, and or for example, in cultural problems in my idea is the best are the most important problems when you leave a city or and when you leave a country to a new one, language or something else.
mhm. How did you find the job in another country? Was it easy, or did you have some difficulties? Did you apply lots of companies? How did it happen?
Actually, finding job for developers are so easy, in my idea.
Mhm,
Mm, I find Kolay IK in LinkedIn, for example. I applied for job and we did 2 or 3 Skype calls, and after that I came to Istanbul. For
mhm.
myself, it was so easy. Let's see the next step for the
Because you're
tour.
awesome.
How easy. Yeah, I was for so finding job for developers are so easy. Not in other countries or in your countries. Yeah, I changed 3 times uh, jobs, and in every time I found a new job in 1 week.
Mhm. And how did you increase your technical skills? Like you studied in university and then you started doing projects by yourself, or you immediately find the job like HTML CSS job? And how did you get your first job project?
Yeah, at the first I was freelancer developer. I studied computer engineering in university, and at the parallel of university, I worked and I learned many things in that project. Uh, Most of the project no money for me,
Mhm,
and and in some case I paid money for some projects. I paid for the domain or host for some of my friends, and I learned many things in that project, and that project became my demos for the first job interview. It was
mhm.
important for me to find first job. So I learned, I think, 90% of my knowledge in the projects, not in university or something else.
Mhm. And you said you did freelance job. And for the junior developers, do you think is it better to make freelance jobs to develop, improve yourself better, or to find a team where has the senior developers? And which is the better at the beginning for the junior developers?
Of course, working in the companies are so better than freelancing. In the freelancing, you are alone, and there is
Mhm,
nobody to help you and show the path. But for myself, I was in a small city. There was no computer or software company to work, and I
uh-huh.
had to work freelancely. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I see.
so I was
And
a student at university. Yeah,
mhm. And what inspires you while working?
money.
Really? Is it only inspiration?
No, no, actually, no. No, actually, I don't work for money. Really, the funny is the
Mm,
third force is pretty in my mind. Uh, I work because the projects are
Humanity.
my are my children's. I love to see the result of work. Yeah, the most important thing for me is see the result, seeing the result. Programming is it's being like God in my idea. You are creating something
Mhm,
new, and it's so interesting. And never I didn't leave any of my jobs before the finishing projects. In all of the companies, I finished the project and I saw the result, and after that I leave the company.
mhm. Awesome. And you mentioned that you make the plans like even after 12 years. Like when you make the plan, how do you manage your daily, weekly, or monthly time? Plan your time.
In fact, I'm not good in timing for days or weeks. I just have long-term plans in my mind.
Mhm,
For example, and especially in this period of time that we are working in home, uh, I work nights or days. I have
mhm.
no good timing in work. I'm just do the tasks in the sprints.
What three pieces of advice about your career would you give to your younger self?
Yeah, at the first thing, my idea for a developers, I should say that you don't need to politician in your work. You can find new job in 1 week. So just do your work and don't think about what he said or what should I do this task. Just do your work. Easy. The important thing in my idea. And after that, my idea in the development in software engineering, you should learn every day. So at the time in your company that you think that you realize that you don't have any new thing to learn, finish your job, your tasks, and leave them. It's so important to learn new things every day in your company. So, for example, at your first job, after 2 or 3 years, uh, leave your company and learn something else in new company, in my idea. And also, in my idea, do not be obsessed with choosing the first job. The first job is so important, and working in a company is so better than being at home and work freelancing. So choose the first one. It's not important the money or how big is your company. Just choose first one. That's.
Thank you very much. It's a great answer. And it was great to talk to you, Wahid. Thank you for interviewing me and talking to me. Thank you very much for all.
Thank you.